Hey, hello, and good morning, my fellow fibro fighting friends. Welcome to the Fibro Recovery channel, where we talk everything fibro recovery, anything to do with helping improve in our fibro life. Today, I am coming to you with regards to some questions, or maybe I should say some subject matter that was brought to my attention, and I really feel the need to address it. There's one is talking about different noises made within the stomach to the chest to the focal points, nose, mouth, throat, etc. I do apologize about this. Didn't realize my phone was on. Anyhow, continuing forward, I addressed this and I explained that that this is not fibromyalgia related, that the stomach, throat, chest and throat area up to the nose and the mouth, etc. Any of the noises that come from there, they don't have to do with fibromyalgia at all. I know this because in my past, I actually got to experience about sleep issues, sleep related issues, and sleep, rest, napping, etc. Anyhow, the reason why it was so important, what I caught on to that was there was a lot of putting a name on the symptoms. And the name on the symptoms was, oh, this is fibromyalgia. No. And then they came back with, well, lots of other people experience it. And it's like, yeah. And a lot of people need to go and get checked for sleep issues. They need to first go and double check with their doctor. And then they need to be checking on when these noises and these issues go on, because that can determine most likely that it needs a sleep specialist. And it doesn't necessarily mean anything is wrong per se, but I can guarantee you it has nothing to do with fibromyalgia. Now, these are the recommendations I am giving because of my past experience. I am telling you that it doesn't to do with, because fibromyalgia is simply fibers, and they're extrasensory. They're extra sensitive. They can the muscles themselves will pop, and but they don't pop the way that it was being described. The most ones that pop are the ones that are in the arms and in the legs. The ones that are in the chest, if it's popping, that is a different story and needs to be addressed with the sleep peoples. I am not professing to be a doctor, and I'm not professing to be in the medical field, but I'm going to get to that by the end of this here, okay? What I am saying, though, is I do have experience enough to know that those kinds of things they ask in sleep studies, talking with sleep doctors, they do ask about popping, about clicking, about rattling, about all this other stuff. But it doesn't have to do with fibromyalgia. There, I'm done. Anyhow, continuing with the next one is psoriasis. People have commented that psoriasis and skin rashes are caused by fibromyalgia. I can personally attest this is not true. What it is that the psoriasis and the skin rash are typically an allergic reaction. And that's one. Overdose on medication, that's another. There are many causes. Fibromyalgia is not one of them. No. Now, I borderline can take this back, and it's only on a little cusp. And that is that if you stress over the psoriasis and you stress over a skin rash, you stress over something going on, yeah, it's going to cause a fibro flare-up. Or yeah, it's going to cause the basics of either the nerves, chronic pain, or it's going to cause exhaustion. Yeah, it will cause it, but that's because you're stressing over it. So chill out. It's okay. Go and find out the cause of it, which is typically it can be a stress reaction. A breakout can be a stress reaction, but it's not fibromyalgia. It's an allergic reaction or possible overdose, and the best way to get that checked out, ask a doctor. Now, there's also a heat rash. There's also other rashes that have a burning sensation, or they're just kind of there. There's topical ointment. The topical ointment does have to be prescribed, but if it's got a burn sensation to it, cold compress or ice. That'll get it and that's what a doctor will tell you. 9 times out of 10, they'll tell you put cold compress or ice on it just to chill the pain, and then go from there. So my next thing that really, I was surprised by hearing this, but I guess it shouldn't be a surprise, and that is, how do I qualify myself as a fibromyalgia recovery specialist? How can I state that I have medical knowledge? How can I come up with some of these medical terms and so on? I actually talk with medical people all the time. I'm very comfortable with it. Here's the secret to my medical background. Okay. My medical background is that my entire family has medical in it. Chiropractic background, medical, nurse. No, it wasn't nurse. They were studying it and decided they didn't want to. Anyhow, I found a love for medicine. And now, grant you, back in high school, back in middle school, back in my school days, I looked at medicine and kind of, but by high school, I was hanging out with a friend of mine who was in practicing to be a doctor. She was really, that's all she wanted to do was be a doctor. And I just was all about it. I just didn't get biology. I just, forget it. Me and biology, we just, the basic components of biology, I did try. I really did. I just didn't get it. So, after the biology, I realized that human chemistry and biology go hand in hand. But I have to be hands-on when it comes to some stuff, and that happened to be one of them. So anyways, what ended up after that is that I started studying and learning from basic life principles. Now, mind you, on top of all of this, my sister ended up going into renal failure, and I learned about organ donation. And I learned the ins and outs about organ donation. I learned the ins and outs about how it causes issues and family issues and stuff like that. And I also learned how it would affect me. And relationships, how they interfere or can be a benefit. I learned how basically the give and take and the ups and the downs of relationships, life, and basic applications. Now, what I didn't realize was how much I was being raised. My mother raised me really cockeyed. for lack of a better description. She had affirmations and mantras all over, and I had no idea how important these would be later. And then taught me the basics, the fundamentals in faith and hope, and how these will carry you. Then I had another on and just following and listening, I realized that I had a lot to give, but I didn't realize how much. I went through a lot of hell in a relationship that I was in, and it was ordered to be dissolution. So it was dissolved, and shortly thereafter I started studying into psychology and psychiatry and counseling, and I was just very intrigued. But this is another form of biology, but I didn't see it that way. I just didn't have the chemicals part of it down. So as I progressed through this, I kept listening and learning. And the reason why this is kind of prolonged is because I was asked, how can I qualify myself? I was put through some very challenging conditions in that relationship that I had no idea would end up paying off now. So, and I would not, if I had it to do all over again, I would not. Plain and simple. I would have found another way. But what happened is that after all of that, when I went through all of it, I actually studied to be a medical assistant. I found medical assisting to be just absolutely wonderful and awesome. I learned all the basics of medical terminology, learned about medications, learned about all the ins and outs, how to deal with people's records, HIPAA, all this other stuff. I got to learn all of it, and I loved it until there was a requirement for vaccination. And I already knew I was allergic to the vaccinations. So I was like, okay, so how can I take all of this knowledge that I've learned, all of life applications that I've learned, how can I take those and use them in a medical facility or a medical setting and not get in trouble because I don't have certification? Well, then I got a certification. It wasn't the one I expected. In fact, I didn't even know how you did it. It just kind of stumbled upon it. I became a certified life coach. Now, people can say, "Oh, I'm a certified life coach" and everything else, but it doesn't mean you are. There's a lot of ins and outs. There's a lot of training involved. Life is an application of it. And that's why I brought in some of the stuff that I was raised with, because through my training, it made it a lot easier. I was able to go back and review and see, oh, wow, I've been trained and taught and educated on this stuff my whole life. I'm ready. Wow. So because I had been diagnosed with fibromyalgia sometime before that, and I actually have been living a low to no pain life, I went to my doctor, my therapist, meaning my physical therapist, my counselor, my psychiatrist, and this was several of them, not just one, several. And I shared with them my thoughts on coaching others with fibromyalgia. Now, mind you, I went through a whole process. This is just, I'm giving you a slight version of it. Okay, because I learned diet, I learned exercise, I learned all, anyhow, so basically to say that I got several people giving me kudos for going forth and taking the knowledge that I have from my life and from growing with fibromyalgia, coming out and teaching and sharing and coaching, not practicing medicine. I cannot do that without a license. Nobody can. And if they do, they can get in trouble. Okay? I do not practice medicine. In fact, if I catch somebody in a situation, I will say, whoa, stop. That's practicing medicine. You need to go talk to this doctor, that doctor, or the other doctor. Okay? When people tell other people, oh, this has to do with this, or this has to do with that, or do this, the only thing that I do is holistic medicine. And it's because I know the basics of it. And you can actually go to a doctor and verify it. Plus the fact that I've also used the stuff that I've talked about. And I know it's not typically, the stuff that I recommend does not go against typical medicines. There's traditional vegetables and fruits that'll actually cause problems with different medicines. And the stuff that I recommend will not go against them. Okay. So the reason why I can give these basics is because of my medical knowledge, my medical background. I am not licensed. I am an ordained minister. Yes, I am. I've got that down. I'm an ordained minister, and I am a certified life coach. I do not get preachy with people, but I do share faith, hope, love. I do share, and I do pray, and I do meditate, and I'm going to be open with those things with people. Okay. So there's my certifications. There are my license pieces. Maybe I should have them up in the background. Okay? What do you think? Should I have them up behind me? I can't. I'm getting almost to where I can sit back at my desk again. Maybe I should put them up at my desk in the background so you guys can see them. Because I have both certificates. I just remembered. I never framed them. Whoops. Got to get that taken care of. Anyhow, so needless to say, I got the certifications, and that's what makes me qualified. I did not do it myself. People like, how do you qualify yourself? I didn't. I had to go through training. And I still didn't trust myself. I went to 5 different doctors of various degrees and double checked with them. And that's how I can say I am the fibromyalgia recovery specialist, and I love to help coach, in particular, women to live a low to no pain life from fibromyalgia, chronic pain, and chronic fatigue syndrome. So I hope this all helped for all of you for my final part of this. And this is going super long for me, considering the fact that I like to keep it 10 minutes or less. Yeah, right. But I really wanted to get down to brass tacks and express everything here, especially my trainings, because I really want people to understand who they're listening to, that I'm not just a quack job. Anyhow, with that said, I am having a fibromyalgia workshop that will be delivered here next week at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. There will be a workbook available, and it is free. It'll require your email to get it. And it'll lead to more, this workshop will lead to more opportunities to be able to work with me. But I want you to see the process that I take. I want you to kind of experience the stuff that I do, and give you little tidbits, to work with. And by the way, if you do not have fibromyalgia, chronic pain, chronic fatigue syndrome, this is what I love about YouTube. Come and join in. Learn about it. That way you might be able to help out somebody. So until next time, I am going to see you later. Bye.